Hey everybody, have you considered starting a podcast? We here at Screwball highly recommend Podbean for getting your podcast out to a larger audience. Podbean has given us the opportunity to easily bring you Screwball each and every week on all of your favorite podcast services. Use the link podbean.com/screwball to sign up and save up to 35% annually. You can also use the link podbean.com/pro/screwball to sign up for a business subscription. Happy podcasting. Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host Mike Lepre here with my co-host Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
This is episode 111 of Screwball. Another week of baseball has passed us by, and another week of Screwball, and another week of news. Not too much happening in baseball this week, save some bigger news, especially if you're a Phillies fan. So with that, let's just jump right into the news as we usually do. With the first piece of news, as I just mentioned, big firing for the Philadelphia Phillies. Joe Girardi, the manager. Kind of following up on our last week conversation about the Phillies, where they were struggling, and there were a lot of rumors about Joe Girardi's job security. Joe Girardi was in fact let go last week and replaced by interim manager Robbie Thompson. Following the firing, the Phillies went on to sweep the Angels, the LA Angels, who have been having their own struggles of late. So a lot of people are kind of pointing to the firing as maybe re-energizing the team, or I think even Bryce Harper had a post-game comment. Something in that regard. So, I don't know. I respect Joe Girardi as manager. I think he does a good job. It just wasn't working out with the Phillies, I guess. I don't really know the inner workings of what was going on there, but if it wasn't working out, it wasn't working out. For a team that really should have been at least closing in on with the Braves and Mets. So, Joe Girardi out of a managerial job. Rob Thompson steps in, and the Phillies, I guess, for the first three or four games since then has worked out. We'll see what the rest of the season kind of brings now without kind of your main guy that you went into the season with. Second piece of news, a little bit more optimistic news, is the Astros signed Yordan Alvarez to a 6-year, $115 million deal on Friday. This is the fourth largest deal with a player who hasn't yet been eligible for arbitration. So Alvarez, at 24 years old, joins Alex Bregman, Mike Trout, Wander Franco, and Fernando Tatis Jr. as young stars who were signed very early. I think Bregman was the only one that didn't have a contract quite as big as Alvarez prior to that arbitration stuff. So I think he signed until 2028 now, instead of being, I believe he would have been free agent eligible in 3 or 4 years. So that locks him up for, with 3 years, double the time. So, and for $150 million, I think that Yordan Alvarez has been great since his rookie year, 2019. I think he's been great. He's, as far as a hitter, he's one of the more elite hitters you're going to find. Defensively, he's okay. I thought it was a great deal for the Astros. I thought this was just kind of a no-brainer. You lock up a guy like this, and the Astros are still, it seems, here to stay for the time being. So you figure 6 years, that contract will probably age pretty well because he'll be 30 at the end of it. I don't know what opt-outs look like for him in this case. He's still a young guy, but good for him. Deal makes a lot of sense. It's a deal I would make if I'm a front office guy with the Astros for sure. So congratulations to Yordan Alvarez for the deal and just being a great player so far. The third piece of news I have here is Grayson Rodriguez, the Orioles' top pitching prospect, may miss the remainder of the regular season due to a grade 2 right lat strain. The young pitcher was most likely looking at a call-up and will now have to wait a little bit longer to get his MLB debut. So a lot of, if I'm not mistaken, a lot to do about Grayson Rodriguez. I think he was a top 5 MLB prospect. He was their top prospect after Adley came up. So this is, a bigger hit to the Orioles, who have been I wouldn't say above water, but at least have been better than projected so far. So, it kind of hurts to not have one of your young guys up with your other big young guy with Adley Rutschman and kind of trying to start at least the future of the franchise with these guys. So it kind of hurts there. But, he still could possibly come back at the end of the year and maybe be a call-up or work out at AAA at least to get ready for the next season. I think he's only 22 years old, so no rush. Guy's still young. So kind of stinks to see a young guy like that kind of lose a year here of development. Really, it would have been more development than anything. So I thought it was worth bringing up because the Orioles are one of the few really up and coming teams, and that kind of a little bit of a hit to their farm, or at least for the year. Yeah. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I had a lot of that news as well. Some other things I want to add here. We had on Thursday and Friday of last week, we had Garrett Cole and Jameson Taillon flirt with perfection. Taillon on Thursday, he had a perfect game going into the eighth inning. And on Friday, Garrett Cole the next day had a perfect game going into the seventh inning. So they both had a chance of history there, and they both had a decent amount of pitches where it would have been, you not too worried about letting them go for it. So we almost had two shots at perfect games there last week on back-to-back nights, which is unprecedented.
Right.
Some other news we had here regarding the Yankees as well. Miguel Andujar sent down to AAA, and he now requested a trade again, since he's not getting the opportunity to play at the major league level that he feels he deserves to have, that he wants to be traded. So we'll see what happens there, as that's a younger player that we've seen have a pretty good bat, at least his rookie year. My other piece of news here I have is Adam Wainwright and Molina. Yesterday was I believe, their 315th start as a duo, which becomes the third most. And they do have the MLB record for the most team wins in their starts together, and that's 206 after yesterday's game.
Mm-hmm.
So they hold that record. So that's just another piece of news there with the Cardinals and their aging veterans and for the most part, Hall of Famers, Wainwright, Molina, and Pujols. So that's just pretty cool to see them on the list. So that's how many times they matched up together. That's pretty incredible. And to go with some of this news here is pitching, I wanted to go to our topic, and I think the topic, a good one for today is, are we seeing the comeback of longer outings for starting pitchers? I know it was pretty much dying there and died pretty quickly, but as we've seen this year, you've seen the comeback of it. With the Yankees, we've seen, what's this, 10 starts in a row that the starting pitcher has gotten into the seventh inning.
Something like that, yeah.
We see Sandy Alcantara, I think he's got, 5 starts in a row where he's pitched 7+ innings. Pablo Lopez, we know we had a couple starts there with the Marlins as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing a lot more, I think, already, and we're not even really into the meat of the season yet. We're not even at the halfway point. And we've seen complete games already. We've seen Pivetta for the Red Sox have a complete game. Martin Perez, complete game. We're just seeing a lot of longer outings. We've seen the Astros have a couple long outings with Verlander and Javier and guys like that. We've just, I think the analytics and a lot of those things, they tell you that if you really look into them, if you really want to look into them, you should be pulling your pitchers out almost every inning. If you really want to look at the analytics for these, so you can't dive too deep into those, right? And I think that's starting to turn a little bit. It's a way to teach some of the young guys we've seen with some of the managers, and I believe one of the managers was Marmol for the Cardinals. He mentioned you got to let some of these pitchers work into that chance to see how they react to it, but that's the best way to learn, is to get into one. So you pitch a little deeper into the game and see how that goes, see how you react, see how it works, right? So that's a great way to teach somebody. But also, we see late in seasons when you need 16 bullpen guys because you burned them all up like the Brewers did a couple of years back. They burned them all up all year. It's hard to get deep into the playoffs when, my bullpen's been great. Yeah, but you used them. All of them pitched 100 innings out of the bullpen. You can't be doing that. Right. So why let my starter get them extra couple outs every game? Saves my bullpen. Especially, it keeps them healthy. Like the Yankees, they have some injuries in the bullpen. You haven't seen their bullpen much. You haven't seen them much at all. It gives you the chance, if they are hurt, to give them extra rest. You get to save innings for later on in the postseason, later on in the season. You're not burning them all up. Oh, he pitched 5 innings, let's take him out. And now I got to use 4 or 5 guys out of the bullpen. When I could have let him pitch 6, 7 innings and use 2 guys out of the bullpen. So it's just the idea of, you need good bullpen arms, but save them. You don't have to get 100 innings out of your bullpen guy. 40, 50 innings is perfectly fine. It saves him for them deep runs, and not just that year, but the next year, if he's a part of your team next year. Some of these guys, you get guys like Hader and Kimbrel and guys like that who are part of your team for a couple of years. You don't want them just burned up one year. And the next year they're kind of slow start and they're getting beat up to start the year, and they're, give them their rest, and they're going to pitch into the playoffs. So are we seeing the comeback, I think, of longer starting outings? I think we have this year a little bit. I think offense was down a little bit. Start the year, it's back now. We had 57, 58 home runs in one day over the past week. So, I think offense is up. Could that affect it? Yeah. But I just think we see more guys, that 100 pitch limit isn't the limit. Alcantara, 112 pitches he's had in the games. We're just seeing it more. We're seeing more starts, more longer starts. Why not get your starter who's more adapt to pitching more innings, try getting that extra out.
Right.
Because you do that. Let's say you do that. Let's say you do it in 9 starts, he gets 1 extra out. That's 3 innings
Yeah.
off of someone else's arm out of your bullpen.
Yeah, it's big.
That's why you see a lot of these guys too. The Cardinals, and we've seen the Rays and teams like that. They get winning by a lot. They put position players in to save innings, but also when they're losing a lot, you see guys going in for position. It's to save innings. Why burn a pitcher when I don't? There's no reason. So why would a starter? He's already warmed up. He's already throwing. Get him an extra out, 2 outs, so I don't have to get that out of my bullpen.
Right.
Shortens. Oh, I need 4 guys to be on this day. I let my starter go longer. I only need 2 guys to be on this day.
Yep.
So that idea. So you start seeing some of that older school stuff turned back too with this, which is good. I like to see starting pitchers actually pitch, but also it makes sense for teams to not beat up the bullpen.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
It just gives out the starting pitcher a chance to really dominate and show that he's good. It's just why take him out with 80 pitches? 80 pitches to 90 pitches ain't gonna affect his arm. It really isn't. His arm was hurt. He might not have felt it at 80. Maybe he'll feel it at 90. Don't mean it wasn't hurt at 80.
Right.
You know what I mean? Every time you pitch, you get a small tear in your arm. I think we've seen that. And then we see that the science, they say every time you pitch, you get these small micro tears in your arm and things like that. Every time you do anything, you get that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the technology is going to tell you that you're hurt every time. Right? But we just got to let these guys pitch a little bit, and we're starting to see that, which is great. We're going to also start seeing some guys come back to hitting the ball, not just a launch angle. We've seen a little bit of that, too. Especially when the shift's going to be gone next year. So you're going to see a little bit more of true hitting. We've seen stolen bases come back already, and hit and runs. We've seen that more active. So you're already seeing some of that come back. You're going to see some pitchers start going longer. It's more of the game.
Right.
You're playing a game more of a scientific, analytical approach where, we got to hit this button at this time and do this at this time. We've seen with the Rays with Blake Snell. It doesn't work. It doesn't work all the time.
Yeah.
Pulled him out. He had 6 innings or whatever. He could have pitched 10 innings that day. They weren't touching him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes you got to let the player do what he's got to do and just enjoy the ride as a coach or a manager or as another player. Just let them go. Let them just enjoy watching. Because sometimes they're just dominant. And it's okay to throw 115 no-stress pitches. It's perfectly fine to do that.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to bring up, too, the Blake Snell thing, because that was, I think he only pitched 5 or 6. And it was like they pulled him and it was one of the biggest blunders that you could make in recent memory as a manager.
You lost the World Series and the player.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He lost, and you lost some goodwill with the fans too, because that could have been their chance as a Tampa Bay fan. So, I think that we have seen a little bit of a rubber band effect, like the analytics stretch so far. So now you see it start to snap back to a little bit more, like you said, a little bit more conventional hitting. Try to get base hits and try to move runners over and try to steal bases and all that stuff. But you're also seeing the old conventional pitching come back, where the starter isn't just the starter, like how some analytic people say it, where it's like 3 or 4 innings. It's the starter is most of the game, truthfully. And that's, if you have an ace and you're a contending team, you want that ace to be able to push 6, 7, 8 innings, even 9 if he can go the full game.
Yeah.
And it's like you said too, it'll benefit you in the long run, the playoffs, because a lot of these last playoff years, we've seen an increase in bullpen usage. And if that bullpen has already been stretched thin leading up to the season, you can only expect so much out of these guys, especially the bullpen arms who come in and throw as hard as they can for an inning. They can't do that 80 times a year. It's just not going to happen.
Well, they're not built for it.
No. And then you expect 2 or 3 innings out of them, in the playoffs all of a sudden when they're used to 1 inning. So it just makes sense when you look at the big picture, as we want to win. We're playing for October kind of thing.
The starting pitchers are more built for 6, 7, 8 innings at a time. And
right.
150, 160, 200, 210 innings. They're built for it.
Mm-hmm.
They're ready for that. They've done it their whole lives. They've done it through the minor leagues. Relief pitchers, some of them are starters, but a lot of times that's 2, 3 years ago. Right now, their body's built for 1, 2 innings. 50, 60, 70 innings for the year. Not 100. Not 100 innings up, and then pitch back-to-back days and 3 days in a row, and you're pitching 100 innings, and you're pitching this day. And you go, he only came out for 1 out. Yeah, but he's got to warm up. He's getting ready the same way. Even if he comes in for 3 pitches, it's still different. It's still using them and getting warmed up and getting ready and getting the heart going.
Right.
It's the idea of you needing a pitcher needs a day off, as does hitters need days off.
Mm-hmm.
But why use your bullpen guy every day when you can just use your starting pitcher to get 1 more out a game? Even if it's just 1 more out a game.
It helps.
It comes back at the end of the year. He pitched 9 more innings, and the bullpen pitched 9 less innings.
Right.
That's a big help.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So-
Some of these bullpen guys can only be stretched so thin.
Yeah.
And like you said, the starters, that's what they're made to do. They're made to give you those 100 pitch outings.
Yeah, because you go 5 innings, you need 3 or 4 guys to be on to finish the game. My starter's on. He goes 7 or 8 innings. I need one other guy to be on. I'll take the chances. I'm having 2 guys be good than having 5 guys need to be good.
Yeah, and you saw a lot of times too, playoffs and all, these pitchers would go into their 6th inning, and it was almost like once the lineup flipped over, got to take him out. Even if the guy's cruising, like he's not even giving up hard hits, he's not walking people, this and that. It's like, well, the analytics say by the 4th time he sees the lineup or the 3rd time he sees the lineup, I got to take him out. It just makes no sense,
Yeah, because
Just let him go. If he's fine, he's fine.
Yeah, and with that, if you never give him that chance to pitch that 4th time through, he's not going to learn how to do it.
Right.
So you're never going to have him be able to do it.
Very
So you
true.
just keep doing that, you're just always going to get 5 innings out of him. You're never going to be able to get 6, 7, 8 innings out of him.
Yeah.
You want to be able to, hey, this is how, and if you learn now, hey, that's how you get through 8 innings. In the playoffs, hey, I remember how I did this.
Yeah.
Remember I changed this pitch, and I used this pitch different, and I used this. It gives you that chance in the postseason. If you never give him a chance throughout the regular season or throughout his, if he's a young player throughout his, younger days in the major leagues, how are you going to expect him to do it later on if he's going to become your ace? That guy's going to be an ace in 3 years. Well, you don't let him pitch more than 5 innings. He can't be an ace. He could pitch 130. That's my ace.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I'll take my chances versus the other 4 guys the next 4 innings because one of them's not going to be on.
Right.
Or, I get a couple hits off this guy. You bring the next guy in, he throws one bad mistake pitch, which everyone does. And all of a sudden now you get 3 runs because you relied on 4 guys being good instead of just 2 guys being good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're starting to see a little bit of that,
I think so too.
which is good.
Yeah. And, if it's team's prerogative to be like the Rays and really just do a by-committee pitching staff, bullpen and all, that's their prerogative. But I just don't think long-term it works out.
You better have a taxi squad of all pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
You better have a big prospect farm of pitchers. And do not expect to give anybody money to go pitch there because no one's going to pitch there if you plan on pulling them out 5 innings.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to do a rollover every couple weeks.
Yeah.
So you're not burning up your good pitchers throughout the whole year.
And then that's an expectation, like you're going to not only just have your 5 starters and your few bullpen guys, now you need, like, what?
10.
You need.
This guy's going to, you know what? I can't just burn him up. So let's sit him for a while and send him back down and not pitch him. Let's bring this guy up to get it through. So we're not pitching. Otherwise, your bullpen guys are throwing 120 innings. You might as well be a starter.
Right.
What are you doing? It's just you're changing too much, and that's what we're seeing some of these teams come back to. Like, hey, let's just let the guy pitch. He's pitching good, you're pitching.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And it's, players shouldn't be afraid to, and I'm sure most of them aren't, but you shouldn't be afraid to say, hey, Skip, I got it today. I'm good. I'll go out there and throw the extra 10, 15 pitches.
Yeah, the pitch count gives you an idea. Hey, he's at 100 pitches. Let's keep an eye on. He's at 80,
Yeah.
90 pitches. Let's keep an eye on.
Hey, short leash, if he goes up a hit, let's get him out.
Well, let's say you're up, like Garrett Cole was up 12-0. Well, you had 90-something pitches. Damn, 90 pitches were like throwing a bullpen session.
Mm-hmm.
You're up 12-0. There ain't no stress on those pitches.
Let him throw. Yeah.
Let him go. He could throw 130 pitches, and he'll only feel like it threw 90 because there was no stress.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I listened to Jake Peavy one day, and he goes, and sometimes you pitch 50 pitches, and it feels like you threw 120 because you had guys on, and you got guys on third with less than 1 out or less than 2 outs. They're more high stress, high intense pitches where it stresses the body out.
Yeah.
So those are different too. So the pitch count is a good idea to have around and keep an eye on, but it's not just a determining factor. But 90 pitches, see you later.
Yeah.
Come back from injury and things like that. Okay, a little different, but
Yeah, hey, we'll limit him to this, and we'll see where he's at.
stretching him out, things like that. But you don't have to just that's your up 5 innings, up 90 pitches, up 100 pitches. See you later.
Right.
It's the eye test because that is better than just about any analytic. I don't care what you say. Sometimes a lot of times the eye test will tell you, oh, this guy's got it, this guy doesn't.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've watched a game where the closer comes in and he's walking guys and pitches way missing the catcher's mitt, and you go, he don't got it. I don't care what analytics are telling you right now. He's gonna blow this game. You could feel, or it's gonna come awfully close. Sometimes you just, once you're around baseball enough, you could just tell. Or if you're a coach, if you're the manager, you know these guys personally. You know if they're a little off. At least you should as a manager. So I think it's good to let the starters go. I'm sure a lot of managers and pitchers have this connection, but talk to them and see where are we at instead of just being like, hey, the computer guy in the back before the game told me that, by the 3rd time lineup, you're out of here. It just doesn't make any. I don't know if it'll ever make sense to me. So I'm glad it's kind of rebounding a little bit to a little old school baseball, in my opinion.
Yeah, because sometimes your best pitcher is the starting pitcher. and I'd rather have him have the ball than, some middle relief guy.
Yeah.
Just because, whatever. Just because well, it's the fourth time through the lineup, so maybe I should go put this guy in. Well, who's that guy?
Yeah.
Paying that guy $200 million. I'm pitching him.
Yeah.
That guy, I want my best pitcher in the biggest spots.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pitch this guy so I can win a game.
Yeah.
Right? Why am I going to put in some relief guy? Oh, well, you haven't seen him yet. The reason why that guy's in the bullpen, that's my ace. There's a reason for that.
Right.
He's not that great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's a thing is overmanaging too, which is certainly a thing. So
analytics has become even bigger.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just let them go.
Yeah.
It's fine. Hey, you're going to throw 120 pitches today, and we're going to win this game. We have an off day. You're going to have an extra off day anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
Yeah, and our bullpen is nice and rested.
Yeah.
Then you really come out firing the next day if you have to. So it just benefits you more. And I know you could get into the weeds of, oh, well, these guys throw harder and they throw more junk. The junk moves a little bit more. It's a little more stress on their arm. You're not going to get as much out of their arm as you used to, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I totally buy that concept either. I understand that standpoint, but I think that if you got an ace and he's comfortable and he's throwing nice and easy and you got a big lead, there's no point in setting a limit for.
Yeah, why have to ask 3 more guys to be pitching good today? When I can ask 2 guys to be pitching good today.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. So yeah, I'm glad to see stuff like that coming back, and hopefully it kind of stays like that. Or at least it's a nice mix in the league. You have some teams that do that and some teams that don't, and instead of everyone trying to make this mass move to analytics, and then it doesn't work, which we've seen a lot of teams it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So.
And then you burn through your bullpen, you burn these relievers up, and then their careers end because they had one bad year, and you're like, well, I just threw 300 innings as a bullpen guy last year. That's why I struggled.
Yeah.
And now he's out the door.
Yeah, right. A guy that could have had a more promising career.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6 year career, you turned into a 2-year career because you burned him up in 2 years in the regular season and never even got to the postseason with him.
Yep. It's unfortunately how it'll probably go for some of these bullpen guys too. So yeah, we'll I like to see that stuff happening, and it's good that some teams are coming back a little bit to the more on both sides of the ball, hitting and pitching. So we'll see more of that. The wrap-up here is the last piece that I have for the news segment of the show. The wrap-up being who is doing the best right now. So the Yankees have the best record in the league at 39-15, while the Astros have the second best record in the American League at 35-19. The Mets have the second best record in the league and the best record in the NL at 37-19, while the Dodgers have the second best record in the National League at 35-19, same as the Astros. The Dodgers still own the best run differential in the league at plus 113, while the Royals still have the worst at minus 81. So Dodgers still there.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah. Some teams I got to mention here that are hot right now. Yankees, Red Sox, Astros, Mets, Braves, Cardinals, and Pirates. All teams that have been playing well. I think the Pirates are 7-3 over the last 10 and just swept the Dodgers this past week in L.A. for the first time since 2000.
How about that?
Yeah. So that's pretty exciting or unbelievable or both.
Not exciting if you're a Dodgers fan.
Yeah, well, it's exhilarating. I guess you just really fired up to your team. Got swept at home by the Pirates. Incredible.
It's something else.
Some teams that aren't playing very well right now. The Royals been cold for a while here. The Angels lost 11 straight. So the hot seat for Joe Madden is as hot as it's going to get here. The A's have been cold. They've been bad at home, which one thing they never are. They're bad at home, and they are bad at home. So that's pretty surprising.
Yeah.
The Brewers are struggling of late. Diamondbacks and the Rockies. Those are some teams that I have here that just aren't playing that great over the last 10 games or so.
Yeah. Yeah, surprised at the Angels. They were looking really good for a while, but we'll get into maybe a key component of that losing streak with one of the specific
players. But they're a team
players.
where you think they could probably win 11 right back.
Oh yeah. They have a much better. They have a much better, more consistent team than they have in a little bit recent years here. So I don't.
They got to turn it around soon because the Astros are going. So
that's the thing is you don't really have a lot of wiggle room with the Astros right now. You got to kind of keep the foot on the gas. So hopefully they can kind of turn it around. So let's move on to the who's hot and who's not section of the show. Moving on from the teams. So the players of the week this week were Yordan Alvarez and Brendan Rodgers. I don't have Brendan Rodgers, but he had that 3-home run game,
the walk-off,
and the third one was the walk-off. Kind of similar to what was it? Carlos Gonzalez had a cycle in the last. So the walk-off was the home run.
Yeah.
So kind of same Rockies kind of lore there. I don't have Brendan Rodgers, but I thought it was worth mentioning because he did have an unbelievable game. Not everyone just hits 3 home runs in a game. I don't even think Aaron Judge, for all his home runs, has done it yet. But I do have Yordan Alvarez, obviously. In the last week, he batted .579 with a 1053 slugging and a 1705 OPS. Almost maybe as a as a thank you for the contract.
Yeah.
Showing, hey, I deserved it. Number 2, I have Yandy Diaz, batted .500 over the last week, a .563 slugging and a 1255 OPS. Number 3, Andrew Vaughn, batted .423 over the last week with a .654 slugging and a 1098 OPS. Number 4, Alejandro Kirk, batted .421 over the last week with an 1105 slugging and a 1605 OPS. And number 5, I have Alex Verdugo, batted .421 over the last week with a .579 slugging and a 1079 OPS. The Red Sox offense as a whole has just been nuts, I feel like. There's some games where they just, kind of like last year, where they just get like 12 runs and it's over before it even started. So Verdugo being it seems like this week at least, a big contributor to that as well.
Yeah. Some other guys here I want to note that have been hitting the ball pretty well over the last 7 days or so. We have Acuna for the Braves, has been hitting the ball pretty well. Brendan Donovan for the Cardinals got red hot here of late and had been playing good outfield as well. He threw a guy out yesterday at the plate to keep the game tied with a great throw. All Molina had to do was catch the ball, then he was out. I was watching that game live. That was a great game. And the last one here is Harrison Bader. Been playing well, and I believe he's tied for the league in stolen bases still with Tommy Edman with 14. So we're just kind of putting on a show out there for St. Louis. His ability to hit and play great defense.
Right.
So there's some guys there that I have that have been playing well. Some pitchers that are hot here of late. The Yankees. I mean, I think there's so many of them right now. Jameson Taillon, Nestor Cortez, Garrett Cole, Severino had a great start. Montgomery's been pitching well. Their whole pitching staff. Clay Holmes out of the bullpen.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, so their pitching staff. That's why I wanted to mention just the Yankees here. Joe Musgrove carried no hitter late into the game there. Tariq Scobal's been great for the Tigers, even though the Tigers have been a letdown. He's been great.
Yeah.
Max Fried, great start. I think he went 8 innings, no earned the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Sewald for the Mariners. I believe he had 4 or 5 innings pitched, and I think he had 3 saves, no runs over the last 7 to 10 days or so.
Nice. Cool. Yes, like you said with the Yankees team has been hot all year, it seems like. I don't know if they've really have hit the skids too much, which is contributing to their obviously best record in the league.
Minus, the guy who just doesn't hit the ball out there for the Yankees.
Yeah, that lefty.
Yeah, Joey.
Joey Bag of Donuts, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a bag of donuts, all right.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him, but the 40, 50 home run days are not looking great right now.
I really think that Joey Gallo right now is a worse player than Chris Davis was in his years where he struggled. He was like 0 for 50.
Yeah.
I think he ended up batting like 190 something that year. Joey Gallo's batting 160. I really think Chris Davis was a better hitter at that point. That's where we're at. That's how bad Joey Gallo is.
It is. It's
and not
looking
just
rough.
this year. It was also when he came to the Yankees last year. He's literally been that bad.
Whatever happened to change of scenery just hasn't been working for him. Because I think prior to that too, he was red hot with the Rangers.
He just doesn't even hit the ball or come close to it.
Yeah.
I've seen swings he misses it by 2 feet. I just don't understand.
I know.
I don't comprehend that.
He's hard to watch. He is hard to watch.
So.
But we could just put him on the permanent cold list coming up here.
He gets one hit, he's red hot. I guess he's terrible.
Yeah, I don't.
Terrible
so player. With that, moving on to the cold list, the who's not of the week. A name at the top of the list that I don't know if we've seen on here before, nor do I expect to see him much at all ever on this list. But Mike Trout, 0 average, 0 slugging, 125 OPS. He is 0 for his last 21 for the week. I don't know if it extends past that, but he is 0 for 21 in these last 7 days. Rough stretch for him, and that's kind of what I alluded to before. Angels have hit a rough patch. Doesn't help when you're really the face of baseball is really skidding along with you,
Yeah. And one thing with him, which was odd, was these series of late here were home series for him, essentially. Back to Philly, New York. Those are places where he usually excels, especially being back home, and kind of they're big deal games.
Yeah.
I think he excels there. Also, I believe, before this show, I'm not sure if it still continues, I believe he's never had 3 games in a row in his career or something like that where he didn't reach base.
Wow.
I think there was 3 or 4 games. It was something, not many, where he had in a row where he at least didn't get walked, hit by pitch. He was on base.
Right.
I believe it was something like that. I'm not sure if that streak continues. I'm not sure the exact stat there, but it was something real low where you're like, that's pretty incredible where he never went like 3 games in a row or 4 games in a row without being on base.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure if
wow.
that still continues. I think it does because I think he walked a couple times to the Yankees, hit by pitches.
I know he got hit by a pitch.
So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that streak is still kind of going on. But yeah, to see him 0 for 21 in a hitless streak to drop his average down to I believe in the 270s or so is
It's rare
it's
for a guy like
surprising,
Mike
but
Trout.
I'd say 2 or 3 days away from seeing him get red hot and probably bat 600 over the next 2 weeks and
Yeah.
probably raise his average back to 300 and probably hit 7 home runs in 2 weeks.
That's because that's what he does too.
So you
to
can
be
probably
honest.
mark that right in there. He'll figure that out pretty shortly.
Yeah, I'm not in the slightest worried about Mike Trout's ability. Now I'm not going to get into it too much, but his injury concern becomes another part of it. But I'm not, as far as ability, I've never worried about Mike Trout. So
No.
now I'm not going to start worrying now.
You can go up there bat lefty and he'll probably be a productive player, to be honest with
He'd be more productive than Joey Gallo. Let's
Oh
put
my
it
God,
that.
yeah. The pitcher spot last year in the National League actually was more productive, by the way. Higher average, I believe more home runs and more RBIs out of the pitchers last year in the National League.
That's incredible.
So Major League Baseball wanted to get more of a competitive bat, but they let Joey Gallo have a bat. So I'm not quite sure what you're doing because a pitcher would hit better than him.
Yeah, rough. I don't even have him on here, but he should, like I said, he should just be a permanent cold list guy.
Yeah, he's just not good.
After Mike Trout, number 2, I have Cesar Hernandez, batted .077 over last week, 115 slugging, 287 OPS after being on the hot list, I believe, last week and has been pretty good for the Nationals. So
That's just how it goes.
yeah. Number 3, Adam Frazier, batted .091 over the last week with a 136 slugging and a 261 OPS. Number 4, Jeimer Candelario, batted .050 over the last week with a 150 slugging and a 245 OPS. And finally, Nick Castellanos, batted .053 over the last week with a 105 slugging and a 241 OPS. So those are your cold hitters of the week, at least that I have.
Yeah, some guys here I had on my list. Again, I had Trout on my list. Brandon Nimmo, Jazz Chisholm, Adam Frazier. I had Cesar as well, and Manuel Margot. Those are some guys who've just been struggling. I know you had a couple of those on your list already. Some pitchers. Patrick Corbin's been cold for 2 years now. Had him on here. Yu Darvish got beat up a little bit of late. Pablo Lopez had a bad starter here or there recently. Marcus Stroman got lit up like a Christmas tree. Didn't hear too much from him on social media and whatnot since then. And Sergio Romo literally got lit up. I think
Yeah.
he gave like 9 runs in 1 inning.
Yep.
Or 10 runs in
It
1
was
inning.
something bad, yeah.
Yeah, so he got unbelievably lit up. So there's some cold pitchers as well to throw out there on the list.
That's enough, that Sergio Romo outing. I forget exactly how many runs it was. That's enough to make your whole year look rough.
He's got a 4+ ERA right for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
There's no doubt.
You know what I mean? I mean, as a bullpen guy, if you come in and pitch an inning, and, because Sergio Romo's also not the lowest ERA guy anymore. He's an older guy. Been in the league a while. You have an inning like that, that blows your
It's
ERA.
a mid-4s ERA if he
Yeah.
has a great rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a little rough on him.
Yeah.
For sure.
Next part here, I got some injuries. As you mentioned, Rodriguez for the Baltimore. I did put him here just because he was about to get called up, and he's about the top prospect still in the minors in baseball. He's not pitching one. So I didn't mention him even though he was not in the majors yet. Frierson, however you want to pronounce it for Tampa Bay.
Is that JP?
Yeah, he hasn't given up a run, I don't think, this year. Or ERA is a 0 ERA, or very low ERA. He plays in the IL, so that could be an injury to look out for if you're in the Rays.
Sure.
Vince Velasquez for the White Sox, add another one to their tally there. He's hurt. Ward for the Angels was placed on the IL here late. Ryu placed back on the IL. He's been bad for the Blue Jays here. Gene Segura, tough break. I believe he's out for the next 10 to 12 weeks with a fracture.
Wow.
He was playing pretty good. He just lean Gene, hitting machine.
Yeah.
Just a great player to have there. Dickerson for the Cardinals placed on the IL, and Kevin Pillar for the Dodgers getting shoulder surgery. So he'll be out for a while, if not the whole season.
Right.
So that's pretty much it. Bigger injury concerns that I had on the bad side of things. On the good side, that side of the list is relatively big this week. Kittredge activated off the IL. We had Robles for the Red Sox expected to come back here in the next couple days. Stanton activated. Donaldson activated. Lance Lynn threw his second rehab start, so he's progressing well. Chris Sale, I believe, threw a 20-pitch bullpen session the other day. He should be going to live hitters and some rehab assignments here relatively soon. So that'd be a big piece to baseball and the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Soroka is expected to start facing some live hitters and could see a rehab assignment here pretty shortly as well.
All right.
That would be great to see, and that would be a big help to Atlanta.
Yeah, it would.
We have Max Scherzer. His oblique is progressing well. He did get bit on his throwing hand by his dog
Yeah.
They said it doesn't affect him at all in his comeback, but something to know, he did get bit by his dog. So you never know. Takes something stupid, an infection or something, and all of a sudden he loses his hand or something because it's the Mets, and there it goes, right?
Yeah, right.
So we never know there, but they say everything's well. So
Right.
Tyler McGill for the Mets as well, expected to be, he's progressing, so he should be hopefully activated and back pretty soon. Didi Gregorius was activated the other day. We have Willie Adames expected to be activated this week. Flaherty, through his first rehab assignment, he threw 3 perfect innings. I think he threw 23 strikes out of 30 pitches.
Okay.
So he is probably feeling the best he's felt in 2 years. And if you get back to the Cardinals, that could be a huge help to them. Kershaw expected to be activated here pretty shortly. Andrew Heaney in the next week or two should be activated as well for the Dodgers. Clevenger was activated and pitched, I believe, yesterday. He threw 3 innings or so, and that's pretty good. And hopefully he can stay healthy for the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Bryant should be back here pretty shortly for the Rockies as well. So those are some pretty big names, some pretty big pieces to teams, and who's gonna say what in the playoff race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that like you said, the Mike Soroka thing. It would be nice to see him back on a mound for Atlanta. I think that's a big missing piece for them.
That's
A guy like that.
About their ace.
Yeah.
Going into 2 years ago before he got hurt, he was about their ace.
Yeah.
Him and Fry were Freed were neck and neck, and then obviously the injuries for 2 years kind of take that ability away.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting him back would be a big help.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then the last bit I got here is our trivia question, and the trivia question is relating to some pitchers. Which pitcher threw the most innings in a season since the year 2000? And the answer to that is in 2003, Roy Halladay threw 266 innings. He has the most innings pitched in a single season since the year 2000.
Makes sense.
And to add on to that, the last pitcher to have 300 innings in a season was Steve Carlton. He had 304 in 1980, and I believe in 1979, Phil Negro had like 350 or something like that.
Jesus.
But yeah, so that's. Are we ever going to get back to those numbers? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah,
I know pitching has been maybe a little extended and coming back, but the idea of 266 innings, I don't know. We've seen 220, I believe, out of Verlander, 218 out of Sale, 217. We're seeing those low two teens. Can you see 230 maybe?
I think
maybe.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
I think that's a possibility. It's going to be an outlier. 300's out. I don't think you'll ever see that again.
No.
266, I don't think you really ever see that again. 250, I don't really think. I think you might see a couple outliers maybe in the high 220s to 230s. I think that might be your outliers.
Right.
But for the most part, you'll see the league leaders probably in the low 200s and the 2 teens.
Yeah, I think if you hit 200 innings for a year, you were an ace, or you were at least a workhorse.
And you're definitely in the hunt for Cy Young.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
You're not pitching that many innings for the most part in this day and age unless you're really pitching good. But again, I think that's turning a little bit, which is back to our topic. That's why I wanted to bring that up as our trivia question. It kind of went hand in hand with it.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. And, Roy Halladay definitely makes a lot of sense. Dude was a workhorse himself. I thought it would be someone like Verlander because he had those years, especially in, I think it was 2011, he won MVP.
I think he had 220 something in it.
Yeah,
one of the ones,
you got to figure years like that. Kershaw, I'm sure at some point had some big years.
Randy Johnson,
Randy Johnson,
David Wells, guys who just pitched every day.
Yeah,
Kurt Schilling, Pedro.
Yeah, so there were definitely.
Clemens, he's.
Oh yeah, Clemens. I'm sure he had a bunch of years, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, where he threw, God knows how many innings.
Then you even got the surprising guys: Levon Hernandez, Javier Vasquez, right? A couple of years ago, Kevin Brown.
Yeah,
he threw a lot of innings. Holy Christ! Alduque, he felt like he pitched every day. He could have pitched, right?
Yep.
Those guys too. You feel like maybe they could have snuck in there, right? So there was a lot of guys since 2000 that could have. Kershaw, right? Could have easily been, but Roy Halladay makes sense. But maybe even a forgotten guy on that list when you first think about it.
Right.
Probably not your first 5-6 names out of your mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So that's a good one, and there's a lot of names that come to mind right away. So I don't know if it's one that a lot of people get right away because there's just so many people that it really could have been. Yeah. So, but no, that's a good one. So that's kind of all I have for this episode, though, as far as news and pitching stuff. I do hope to see more old school baseball come back. It doesn't have to be like we're in the 1950s and we're playing with squishy balls and playing with less than desirable bats, and the bases just are like pillows. And
you've seen that video. I don't know if you've seen that video of the guy hitting a softball. He grabs a tree branch. Mm-hmm. He literally grabs a big tree branch, hit the ball, and got a base hit with it. I was like, there's Babe Ruth's bat.
Yeah, literally. So we don't need to go that far back, but it is nice to see more conventional, tried and true baseball come back. Just a little bit of it. Just have the DNA in there,
A little reliability and a little expectations on guys. Like, hey, we're expecting you and rely on you to do this.
Right.
Not just, the computer says you're, an idiot after 5 innings, so you see you later. Or, lefty pitcher's on the mound. Let me put this lefty hitter in because the analytics say that this guy hits the ball. Sometimes it's just, hey, I got to put this guy in. I'm going to do this. I'm doing this, and that's just how it's going to work.
Yep. Yeah, it's just the eye test, and just that's being a manager instead of letting the guy in statistics dictate how the lineup's going to be made and all that.
Yeah, the game's not played on paper.
Yeah,
because if that was the case, Padres would have won a World Series many years ago with the Uptons, and the Mets would have always won. And games aren't played on paper; they're played with your eyes. There's a reason for that, right?
Yeah.
You watch, you play, you do things with your body, and that's why the computer can't comprehend that.
Yep.
I could do a lot anymore. But he can't get that last 10-15% where it's like you can't predict that.
Yeah, can't get you right over that hump,
Exactly.
Or at least most of the time it won't. So, but yeah, that's all I have for this episode. We'll see what happens with the Phillies with no Girardi now. See how Yordan Alvarez's years go, and we'll see what happens with more maybe long-standing pitching. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But that's all I have. So I don't know if you have anything else. We can wrap this one up. But
no, that's pretty much it. We mentioned basketball's in their finals, right? We're Celtics. We're mentioning hockey. They're creeping into their finals, so we're creeping into we're in a very exciting time in those two sports. Baseball, we're coming into the summer. Mm-hmm. Right, Memorial Day passed. We're coming into the summer. We're gonna start seeing some deadline things. We're already seeing some things about Contreras possibly being traded. So we're gonna start seeing that excitement. We're in a great part. Summer is here. Many schools are over, so you see a lot more kids at the games, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. See offense going up and the games being a little more exciting, I guess, for some fans, and then have more kids there. Just kind of perfect storm.
Yep.
The baseball, if MLB drew it up that way or not, you never really know. But
right.
Just an exciting time. We're here in the beginning of June, and we're just it's that baseball feel now where it's like, okay, every other sport's kind of see you later, Football's not here yet, and everything else is ending. It's like it's baseball. It's warm weather. It's baseball.
Yep. Yeah, it's great, and soon we will be only talking about baseball, like I said last week, because it's the Celtics and Warriors. There's only a few games left there, depending on how the series goes. I know the Celtics won Game 1. I don't know if there was a Game 2 yet.
The Warriors won Game 2 yesterday. Yeah.
So there you go. And then hockey will get into their Stanley Cup final, and
you get the Rangers for our area.
Yeah.
Up 2-1, right? And Edmonton, I think.
It was the Lightning. It was a Rangers Lightning and Oilers Avalanche.
Yeah, and the Rangers are up 2-1 on them.
They're up 2-1.
I think Colorado's up 2-1 on the Oilers, or 3-1.
I'm not sure. I believe it might be 2-1.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
We got some series there. And then basketball's 1-1. So
great series.
Yeah, we're coming to the the make or break point of that season.
Yep. So a lot of good sports stuff, and like I said, in the coming weeks, it will be only baseball, which is kind of cool too.
You get the All-Star break coming for baseball, only a month away. That's always exciting time.
Yeah.
All the big players, home run derby, the All-Star game, celebrity softball game. The city's just rocking. It's in LA this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's just excitement.
Yeah.
I'm sure Vince Scully will have a part of it, right?
I hope so. Yeah.
LA, so yeah, that'd be exciting.
Absolutely. So yeah, I guess we can wrap this episode up unless you got one final do.
Nope, that's pretty much it for me.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. You can catch this podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Google Podcasts and Spotify. You can listen on our regularly updated YouTube channel as well as our website, screwball.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at RealMikeLepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at FDubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow our official Screwball Facebook at ScrewballPod. No E in Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Take care.